Hello, welcome to this short video where I talk about some terrain that's still work in progress and just generally where I am with it and show some close-ups. So this is terrain I've been making which I was making for Warmachine, but it can be used for anything, which are just sort of scatter pieces, but they are built specifically in the size that Privateer Press recommend for their Warmachine game, because you can have them as control zones and they have a sort of set size of 12 inches across here. So the idea being that you would move your models onto this to sort of control an area during the game. So I'm just demonstrating with my 12-inch brass ruler that it is around about 12 inches across. In fact, these were 30cm sections of cork which I used. So if I flip it over, you can see it's just a cork tile. And these have been in my garage now for a year, and generally they're not warped. They're still staying nice and flat. So you can see there's some lift. I can push down some on the edge there. And I've put a sort of detail piece in the middle, which is a resin terrain item which I got, I think, about a year ago from Salute. It's got a plinth on there, so it could take a terrain item. A statue is the word I'm looking for, in fact. And also I was planning to put water into this area too, so the plan was to use some liquid water to make these frogs and things in there a little bit more realistic with a shine. And finally, of course, the terrain pieces haven't had their static grass put on yet, so there's still a lot more to do to finish them. But I also used various things on this, bits and pieces I had hanging around. So these straight sections here are from foreground, and I was building some foreground castle pieces, and I had leftover of their MDF terrain tiles, so I put those on there. And these sections here are from Games Workshop in one of their terrain based tile accessories packs. So they've just been sunken in there with bits of wood and stone and things. So in hindsight on this one, I think I didn't blend these cork areas in enough. I mean, they do look like okay, interesting ledges on the side here, but they could have done with being blended in a bit more, I think. Which is what I did do on the second terrain item here. Again, same size, and I've just put this rocky sort of crag through the centre to give it some detail as sort of rough terrain or just as a terrain item. And the main core of this rock section is cork, so that's some old cork I had, and I just cut the cork up. Some of it's still got the bark on the cork here as well. So you can see here, this is a piece from a Minas Tirith, I think it was. It's a little plastic area right in the middle with the spear and the sort of poleaxe type thing, and that rocky piece in the middle too. That was a plastic injection moulded piece from Games Workshop. And then the cork itself runs through the rest of this area, and you can see some of the cork still has its sort of bark on there, and that formed the main rocky rift. Also note that I blended in much better around here, so that even though I've put layers of cork in, I haven't left it all exposed, so some of it looks like it's sort of natural hill and some is exposed here with the cracks. And then I use little bits of wood, which were just from the garden or somewhere. I cut them up and put them on there as well as a kind of a ramp, for no reason other than just to have a bit of detail on there. Additionally, there was another one here, and you can see where I haven't blended in this piece of cork that's been cut and stuck on there. It looks okay, but personally maybe in the future I would have sort of blended more corners out and then just left some exposed areas. So anyway, as I was saying, still requires its static grass to be complete. And then if I move back to the other two sections I've got, so one of them is kind of memorial rocky thing, and this was actually another Games Workshop one, which was from one of their sort of ranges. I think Lord of the Rings range again. And you can see it has there's a kind of little figure there with a book and a few other bits of interest on there. It all looks like it's got a bit dusty actually in the garage, possibly. And then this section was going to be like a swampy bit where someone's made a path along, so I've just laid in some wood, and I'm going to put some water in effects between and underneath the rock there as well, so that'll look like a sort of boggy section pouring out over the side too. Again, I've just dotted some little skulls and things in there of interest, and if I zoom into it, you can just see how that's been built up, again using other bits of cork. Yeah, using other bits of cork to sort of build it up, and the odd skull, larger boulders that have formed part of this walkway, where people have laid wood on. So again, I've just mixed in some interest and colour and bits and pieces in there to make it look sort of boggy with an irony effect on there. So that needs to be finished, and then the next one up, the last one, bit of a close-up on it. Again, you can see there's some Games Workshop terrain tile pieces just in there and amongst all of the dirt, looking like just a little bit of interest poking out of the rock. And this is the only place I've started to put some static grass on, and I've not picked a very good colour. It's kind of a burnt out look. I need to go on with a slightly brighter green and cover quite a lot of it actually. I want to, with all of these pieces, put quite a lot of grass on, just so that it's exposing some of the rock, some of the mud still, the sort of earth still showing through. And you can see there the terrain item from Games Workshop. Was it Borin's Tomb or something like that? I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely got kind of dwarvish language on the top of it, chiselled in. But again, I just thought it was an interesting objective terrain piece, whatever game you're playing, to have that scattered around on the table. Obviously you need your main terrain board to be of a similar colour, and then you could just scatter those on quite nicely. So there they are, there's an update on these. I need to put some work into them, so that's partly why I'm doing this video update, to show them again, because I've got a lot of work to do on those and need to get started. So there they all are. And there's the sort of toads in there too, that's again just an interesting terrain piece. Great, thanks for listening in, speak to you later, bye.